Hey guys, and welcome back to JayK Talks. It's been a while, you know. We said we were going to do weekly episodes, and it's only been 4 months. But
Something like
as you
that.
know, I'm Kelvin.
And I'm Jared.
And first of all, we just want to say, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest. We don't know what to talk about. So the topic that we're going to be covering today is legit anything. We're just going to be talking about life.
Yeah,
Just
we're just kind of winging it right now.
because like Jared and I, we were trying to figure out like what kind of topics we want to talk about, what kind of things that like you guys want to know or what you guys want to hear us talk about, and we try to think about a lot of things, and it's just like we have no idea what you guys want, or if you
We
guys even watch.
we honestly put like a lot of thought into it, and we've come up with almost nothing to show for it. I mean, granted, I have a lot of topics here, but we haven't really agreed on anything.
It's just like it's hard to like try to settle on one thing because we feel like one topic is just too little. It won't have enough content, you know? Like we were thinking about like talking about our vacations and stuff like that. And I was like, I just don't want to seem like I'm flexing or anything, but it's not as easy as you think. And you know what? Jared, I thought about the topic we could talk about right now.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
The topic is how hard it is to create a podcast or keep a podcast going.
That is unironically hilarious
But
because it's pretty difficult when you're not intellectually adept like the good podcasters.
but are they intellectually adept? Like I just feel like they have teams.
Yeah, they have teams. Yeah. Exactly that. And they got like creative writers, and we have Jared and we have Calvin.
We have an accounting major and a finance major. That we have another
Dude.
finance major. Our creative inability is top tier. We have
Oh,
no
you know what we
creative
could
ability.
talk about? We could
What's
talk
that?
about our careers. Oh wait, we're
Oh, we
both
don't
unemployed.
have. And we could talk about. You know what we could talk about? We could talk about what we've been wanting to do, which is we're
True.
trying to learn music. By trying to learn, I
That
mean like read music
yeah,
sheets.
music theory, all that stuff.
I know
I
nothing
think
about music theory yet.
yeah, we kind of so just recently we sat down and we were kind of on the way back from doing whatever we were doing. And I kind of looked over at Kelvin. I was like, maybe from like a year from now, because we've always wanted to move in together. I was like, what if we're moved in by now? We have a studio apartment. We could like crack open YouTube. We could start to learn music theory, take it from there, and then maybe in like a year or two, we could have maybe like written a song, like a good song, like taking
Hmm.
the time to like learn the theory, learn the instruments, put together something, and it might actually have been good.
And the thing is, we were listening, like we were in the car, like he said, and we were just listening to one of our like favorite artists, or one of my favorite artists, which is Elena Castillo. Shout out. She has really like I really enjoy her music, and Jared and we were like, bro, if we really took our time, we could make music like this too. Like we could just make music that we enjoy listening to, and that's the biggest thing. I want to make music that I enjoy listening to. You know, that something I can scream in the car with, and not just something that like, just played once and it's just never played again. I want to
Now that I
make.
think about it, like this was something we actually tried to do like a while ago, wasn't it? I remember.
Yes. Oh
Funny
my
enough,
gosh. Yes.
it was like when we first met each other, and we were just. I think you invited me over to your house one day. You're like, "Hey, buddy, I'm not doing anything. You just want to come over and hang out?" I was like, "Yeah." And we kind of just. I think this is when I first made my Twitter account too, which is hilarious. There's like a lot of stuff happening this day.
No
But I was
way.
just sitting there in your room. You're on your bed, laying down. I was on the floor, just browsing through my phone. And you sit up and you look over at me. You're like, "Dude, we should start a band." I was like, that sounds dope, actually. You're like, hold on, let me call my friend. And immediately you go and you FaceTime your friend Huli.
Yeah. Huli
You get her on
Bolaño.
the phone. You're like, hey, you want to start a band? And she was down for it
She was
too.
down for it.
She was so down for it,
And
bro.
here's the thing, Huli is actually going to school for music. I don't know her exact profession because I'm a terrible friend, but she knows everything about music theory. She knows about like how be like learning how to sing and stuff like that. Like she went to Harrison School of the Arts, which is in Lakeland, right? Which is basically school made for people who are talented or like who have some musical talent or artistical talent, not necessarily music. And so like she definitely knows a lot more than we do. And so I feel like she could have definitely helped us out a lot. And not only that, like she's a very good friend of mine. So like like we play soccer together and stuff like that. So calling her up, I thought would have been a great time. Just us three making music, like writing down songs and anything we wanted to do. You know, we had a band name too, and I completely forgot what it was called.
What did we pick out? Oh my word! I know what you're talking about too.
Yeah, it was a band name. It was so funny because like we were so down to do it. We're like, and it just never happened. Because I was learning guitar. I was trying to learn the guitar. I learned a little bit, but I completely forgot everything else from now. I think you were gonna do the
Yeah, shortly after that time, I bought a ukulele and I was actually trying to learn it for a while.
and
It was yeah.
it was incredible. It was an incredible time because we didn't go anywhere with it. We were like, all right, we're gonna learn. Did nothing. We learned a little bit.
Unironically though, from that moment going forward, we did there was an attempt at one point, and this is like one of my favorite memories with you, was shortly after that we were really serious about the whole band idea. And you're like, you know what, Jared, we need to do? We need to like actually get together and we need to try and do a cover. So what did me and Calvin do? Calvin stops by my house at like 10 o'clock at night. He's like, I'm picking you up. I'm bringing my guitar. Grab your ukulele. We're gonna go someplace quiet and we're gonna try to do a cover. So he picks me up and we drive across the street from my house. We go into the soccer fields. It's like 10 o'clock at night. Nobody's there. It's dark outside. And he parks in the grass parking lot, puts the car in park, and we just pull up YouTube. And I think we started listening to what was it, Daniel
It was
Caesar?
Daniel Caesar. It
We were
was
trying to learn
Daniel
what was it,
Caesar.
Best Part, I think? And we were trying to
No,
do a
I think it
cover
was
of it.
Get You, or
No,
was it
because
Best
that's
Part? Yeah, yeah,
Caliucci's.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's Best Part. And I'll never forget, I was trying to learn the lyrics and I messed up on them, and Kelvin thought it was the most hilarious thing
Oh
ever
my
because we had
goodness.
been re-recording and re-recording, just trying to like sing along to it without instruments, and it
We
just was
have
not
the
working.
video too, and the thing is, we're reading the lyrics as we go, and Jared just completely botches it as he's reading it. And I was like, there's no way you mess up reading the lyrics straight off. I just thought it was the funniest thing ever. But that was a really good time. And the funny thing is, I brought my guitar. You brought your ukulele. We didn't do anything with it because there's no way we were going to do anything with it. We just had it there
I
for
mean, I knew
show.
nothing.
Okay.
I knew
I didn't
absolutely
know a
nothing. Still
single
don't know
thing.
anything.
And it was just so funny because, like, we really thought we were going to do something with it. We still can, right? We could do something with it, but we just got to put in the time to learn it. And
Oh,
then we can
absolutely.
make covers with it. Not just, try to get the guitar and just instantly try to make a cover out of it. But
I mean, you saw how well we did with the podcast and keeping that going. I'm sure this is
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
go the
yeah.
exact same way with the instruments.
It's not easy. Well, the podcast, we were about to graduate and stuff like that. We were getting a little busy, but then also at the same time, we just couldn't sit down and pick a topic, and we still
Yeah.
didn't. Like,
We also haven't been busy for a few months too since we graduated.
yeah, I mean,
Mostly lazy with it, I guess, or just forgetful.
well, it's not that we've been forgetful because surprisingly, we've gotten a lot of support from people. We're saying like, people have been saying that we should, you know, do the
Try
podcast
again.
and do it and like continue it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and honestly, I didn't expect so many people to actually watch it. Like I hung out with a friend today, actually Chanel. Shout out Chanel. She was like, "You should do the podcast again." I was like, "I definitely should." And I asked her. I was like, "What topic should we do?" And she's like, "I don't know. Do general ideas. Just talk. Get on and talk." And I was like, "You know what? That's a great idea." So shout out Chanel. You're probably the reason why I'm here right now. I don't know why Jared's here right now. He's always wanted to do this too, but
Dude, I love this. I think it's
it's
fun.
it's enjoyable. I enjoy it. Like you and I, we always have good conversations, and that's the thing. We have amazing conversations on the car, right? Jared
And
was actually.
that's
Go ahead.
yeah. Well, I was gonna say that's led me to like I think for the future of this, if we were actually to get serious about like continuing the podcast, I think something that I want to do is like get GoPros. I think is what I've told Calvin this, and we set them up in the car because we have a lot of good conversations when we're just riding around, just going back and forth from what we do stuff. And I was like, we'll mic ourselves up, we'll throw down some GoPros, and then like I have this video editing software that I got just recently. I was gonna try and like record us and then maybe like edit something and put it together and throw it up on YouTube. So it's a little something different. Because I know we tried to like record ourselves one time with our cameras on, but it was kind of scuffed and we didn't really like the way it turned out. But I think like this could potentially be something that would be really cool. And like if anybody's actually listening from like before, because I know it's been a while, so we
It's
might have
been a
lost some of you.
minute.
But hopefully, if you're still with us, and we're so thankful if you are, give us some feedback, man. Like throw some comments down in the comments section. Let us know, because
Please let us know
we're doing
because
this
we
for
need help.
ourselves, but we're also doing this for you guys. Because like I know some people enjoy it. I hope so. They've said it, and I mean, I'm hoping they weren't just messing with me or like just saying that. But
they were making fun of us.
get my hopes up, you know. You
But no,
guys
I
are
mean,
so good. I roll.
and the thing is, like, even if they didn't enjoy it as much as we did, I still had a good time. It was still fun, I still had a good time, and like, I think it would be a little disheartening, but I will still do it. You know.
We're also definitely open to advice. So like if you guys know like where I could find like cheap GoPros or maybe like editing techniques, or if you guys have any tips or pointers, dude, please throw them our way. Cause I mean, like I said, we're new to this and it's so hard to keep it going.
Or just how we sound, or like something that we could throw up in the back while you guys are just listening, or if you guys even watch at all. If you guys want to see, you know, what we had last time, which is just stick figures with the amazing Jared art that he
Beautiful
threw up.
Jared art,
And it's just,
yes.
let us know, like, anything, just how we sound, if I'm too loud, if Jared's too loud. Speaking of which, I bought a new mic, so if I sound a little bit different, it's because of that. I bought a new mic, and Jared was like, "Ooh, I like this. This would be good for our podcast." And then afterwards, that was like 4 months ago when we last recorded, and then we just never I never got around to using this mic for the podcast, and I think this is great. But seriously, just anything, tips, how we sound, anything you guys want to see, anything you guys want to hear, anything, we're open to advice. It's not like we're gonna be like, no, this is how we're supposed to do it, because we don't know how we're supposed to do it, or what, what's good or not good, you know.
So to kind of like transition us here, because we've been kind of talking about just the generic like podcast setup stuff, but kind of like maybe move us into potential topic here. I do have a question for you. So, since we've graduated, we've had a lot of free time. What are some of the things that you've seen yourself, like new lifestyles that you've approached with like this new freedom? Like, how have you seen your life change a little bit?
How have I seen my life change a little bit since I've graduated to now? One of the biggest things right now that it's hitting to me right now is the fact that I don't have to go to school. I have the option to go. Well, the option to go back to school is completely up to me, and I'm not going to go back to school until like in a year, because I need to get some job experience in order to get references to get into my master's program and stuff like that. But I think the biggest things that I realized is that it's just having the free time. Legit, when I wake up, I'm not obligated to do anything school related, work related, or such of that such. I have no responsibility, and at the same time, it's nice. But at the same time, I feel like I'm wasting my life away. Because like people always come up and they tell me, "Oh, so what are you doing? What are you doing? Did you get a new job? How's school going?" I'm like, I graduated. I'm waiting a year to get job experience and stuff like that. And I just feels like I see my friends, like other friends, just working, going to school, doing all this sort of stuff, and I'm just here chilling, doing nothing, having a lot of free time. I mean, granted, I hang out with you a lot. I hang out with my friends when I can, and I've definitely been going to the gym as much as possible. But when I wake up, I don't have any reason to get up. I mean, other than going to the gym, like I just said, or obviously I have to do my basic amenities to or necessities to
Yeah, to
live,
keep
and
living.
yeah,
Gotta
other than
eat,
that,
feed yourself,
yeah,
drink
yeah.
water.
But if I didn't have to, there'd be no reason for me to actually get off of my bed. And I feel like the difference between before and now is just how much free time I have, and just how surprisingly bored I can be. Because when I was in school, I was coaching, I was playing soccer, I was doing all sort of things, right?
Yeah, you
Like
were very
schoolwork.
busy.
I was super busy. I was like from the morning when I had class up until like probably 9, 10 p.m. I'd have to do either school, soccer, or yeah, school and soccer or coaching. And I was just super busy. And it's just like that part of being busy, it stressed me out, like for sure. Especially like my last semester where I'm like almost failed the class because the professor was top tier. That's sarcasm. But like being, I don't know, having free time is fun because I can do what I want. But I just feel like I have to cling on to like the basic. What's my purpose? Like what purpose do I have right now? And I feel like I'm not fulfilling any purpose that I have. Is that sort of I fall
Well,
into it.
yeah, weirdly enough for me, when I was still in school, I almost like dreaded starting the day. I felt like it was inevitable because I was kind of slammed with schoolwork, especially my last semester. I was writing like thesis, I was trying to get
Mm-hmm.
in. community service hours. Like I was doing all this stuff, like all this schoolwork, all these like top like capstone level courses. And I was just so slammed. And I feel like every day that I woke up, I was like, I really don't want to start my day. I don't want to get out of bed. So I thought like even on the weekends, I would be sleeping in. I mean, during school days, I'd only get up and by the time I was needed to get up, like to get ready to go to school, I would like really push it.
Yeah.
But then for some reason, once I graduated, all that stress like disappeared, and then I found myself weirdly enough more so motivated to like get active in my daily life. So I would wake up in the morning. I found myself waking up earlier. Like I mean, I'm waking up now at like 8, 7:30. And I used to wake up at like 9, 10 o'clock. I mean, it's only like an hour, hour and a half difference, but I mean, it's a lot. It's very significant for me because I wasn't used to that. And I find myself going to bed sooner so I can start the day sooner. And like when I get up, I'm like not so much. I'm not. What's the word I'm thinking of? I'm not complacent. Like I'm actually I get up to move, I get up to start my day to do things like I'll go, I'll eat breakfast, I'll go and do the chores that I got to do really quickly, like laundry, all that stuff like that. And I mean, for a while when we started going to the gym, we were getting up and we were going right around lunchtime. We were getting to that habit of going every day. And I found that like I found motivation where I hadn't in like places I hadn't before. And that was really strange enough with the freedom that I've got. And I feel like had I managed to find a job sooner than what I did, I definitely feel like that would have translated into my work life. I mean, I can't say that for sure because I don't know if I would have regretted it, like depending on where I'm at, but for sure found motivation where I didn't before, which was strange.
That being said, bro, I am very proud of you, man, because like when you started going to the gym, I would nag you to come with me so many times. I felt like I'd be annoying, and it'd be to the point where you guys like where you started to hate me because I'd push you to go out to the gym and be like, and I would call you names because of it and stuff like that, because I wanted valid reasons for you to not go to the gym. Like, oh, I have to do this, oh, I have to do this, and I'm not feeling it today. And I am so proud of you, man, because you started the bulking process and it's going, and you're keeping yourself going, because like you're going without me now. Like you don't need to go with me. You're going by yourself, and I'm
Yeah.
so happy because now you're starting to teach one of your friends how to work out and stuff like that. It's just like, wow. It's like I taught you what I knew. We both learned together, and now you're teaching what you know to
Oh
somebody
yeah,
else.
absolutely. And I
That's
mean,
awesome.
I'm happy about it too. And I'm so thankful for you to push me because like you said, I mean, we recently, ever since we graduated, we've been trying to find different stuff to do. I mean, aside from like career plans, because I mean, ever since I've graduated, I've been really lazy with the whole career plans thing, but I've been doing it on the side, just not putting as much forward effort as I should be. But Kelvin was like, hey, one day he's like, you should start coming to the gym with me. And mind you, I haven't been like physically active since high school. I played sports in high school. I mean, I've played sports my entire life, and then I kind of stopped once junior year hit, and I kind of gotten that sedentary feeling, and I pretty much went almost all of college without really having been physically active at all. I remember senior year of high school and freshman year of college, I was really active in running because I was training for like 5K over the summer of like freshman year. I was like, you know what, I'm kind of tired of it. So I kind of was like on rest for a long time. And Calvin came along after we graduated. He's like, you know what, we should start doing? We have all this free time. Let's start going to the gym.
Hmm.
And I was kind of skeptical about it first. I didn't want to because I was really body conscious. I mean, I've been skinny my whole life, and I like wasn't like I didn't want to like show up in the gym and then just be embarrassed to do things wrong and have people looking at me. And it took a lot to overcome that feeling. And it's mostly thanks to Kelvin for pushing me to get in the gym because he would go with me. He'd make me feel good. He'd hype me up, and he just made it an overall like comfortable environment for me. And now I mean I'm cool enough to go by myself. And ever since we've been going, I mean I've gotten definitely stronger, but at the same time I've put on weight and I'm at an ideal weight now where I'm not underweight anymore. I'm actually living a healthier life overall altogether. And like you said, I've gotten one of my friends to come with me now, and I'm pushing him to do the same thing that I did, and it's kind of just going forward like that. And I'm very appreciative for Kelvin.
Speaking of which, you just mentioned about like the whole you don't it's like your first time going to the gym and you don't want to be like looked at other people and be embarrassed by
Yeah,
that sort of thing. It's actually kind of funny. Well, it's not funny, right? But it's it's interesting because I actually had a friend tell me that like recently that they also don't go to the gym or they don't like going to like public gyms and such like that because of just how self-conscious they are about people looking at them and being like, oh, they're an idiot, they don't know what they're doing or anything of that sort. I just like, here's the thing, we all started from somewhere. Not everybody started off like jacked. Obviously, some people have the genetics and they're just crazy fit and stuff like that. But everybody else who does not have the genetics and they have to work hard for it. Because like I also, crazy enough, I used to be like I used to be pretty healthy back in high school, but even then, not many people know this because like it's not something that I'm proud of, you know. But I had body image issues because when I was younger, I used to be a little bit chubby. I used to be a little bit bigger, and like I had man boobs, and somebody would say like, "Oh, he has man boobs." When I was in elementary school, and that like scarred me. And ever since then, I used to have body image issues, and that's why really never see me go to the like pool or beach or stuff like that. And I've started to start to accept it now. It's that sort of thing. Like people would be like, "Oh no, you look fine or you look great," but no matter what people tell me, it's just like I don't believe you because I see myself differently. You know, you can see myself this way, but this is how I see myself, and it still happens a little bit. But like I'm starting to like feel a little bit better. But that's not what I was saying with you. But like we all start somewhere. Like I was saying, we all start somewhere, and like I said, back in high school, I used to have that like issue that I didn't want people to judge me for doing something wrong. But having somebody with you who like I say does know what they're doing, or just not even just having a friend there with you, I feel like goes a long way because you'll feel more
Oh,
comfortable with them
absolutely.
around. And that's what my friend told me recently is that like they had the fear, like they had two problems of going to the gym. One, they didn't have the motivation, which is funny because we had a podcast about that 4 months ago about motivation and how you get motivation. Funny, right? They said that they started getting the motivation, right? So they don't have to worry about the motivation. But the only problem that they worry about now is the fact that they just don't want to embarrass themselves at the gym. Because don't get me wrong, man, it's intimidating. You see people that
It
are
really is.
jacked, they're like so much bigger than you, so much healthier, leaner, whatever. And you're like, wow, what do they think of me right now? Are they judging me? Do they think I'm small? Or what are they saying about me right now? What do they think? And it's so intimidating. It's absolutely intimidating. And they said that when they got over the motivation, they have the motivation and need to go to the gym now. They just got to get over that fear factor of just like, you know, being embarrassed at the gym. And it's just like, once you get over it, I'm pretty sure you just get, you know, you'll get clear. But it's so much better going with a friend. And once you get comfortable enough going with that friend, you'll be good on your own. You'll be very good on your own.
No, definitely. Like the way it was for me was I didn't think I struggled so much with motivation. Like getting to the gym wasn't the issue. It was staying inside.
Hmm.
And kind of where that lies was like you said, like I struggled with my body image, and because of that, I was not so confident, and I was more so concerned about what others thought of me and not just focused on doing something just to better myself in spite of what others might think. And that does go a long way. But it's different for everybody. I know some people struggle with motivation, and I mean, I did for a while in other areas, but like when it comes to the gym, I can see how easy it is to be not so much motivated. And like I said, struggling with that judgmental environment. It's not even, I mean, I know for me at least, now I see that it's not so much a judgmental environment inside. Everybody starts at the same place, you know. We
Hmm.
all start from day one. Everybody, even the most jacked guy in there, like at some point was like, okay, this is my day one. I'm breaking that barrier. I'm getting my feet in. I'm getting them wet, you know. And it's just, I think once you get that to that point, it's definitely so much easier to just keep going. It's just that first time breaking that veil, I think, for sure.
You know, I just told you a quote that you just said. It's my favorite quote. I saw it. It was funny enough. I saw in a comment on a TikTok that said, "It's either one day or day one. You decide." And that's my favorite quote ever. Why? Because
It's a good
it's
quote.
up to you. It's completely up to you. And like you said before, it's not so much a motivation being a problem. I think once you go to the gym, once you start seeing results, not necessarily in your physique, but just you're able to push more weight. Like for example, bro, I never in my life did I ever think I would be able to bench 225 pounds. Slight flex. 225 pounds, right?
Just like big flex.
Slight flex. I never thought because like when I was in high school, I used to bench a little bit, and all I would be able to do is like not even like 25 pounds on each side. So that'd be like what, 15, 95 pounds. In May, I was benching 165. That was my max. In May, March, one of those times, right? I went through a dry spell where I didn't go to the gym for a while, and like you said, you and I, we started recently going to the gym. I think it was like June, mid of June.
Middle of June, yeah.
So my max technically from mid of June until now, September 8th, was like what, 2 months, 3 months, almost. I was able to go up 60 pounds. I was able to bench
Which
160
is
from
pretty significant.
165 to 225 pounds, which, like you said, is significant. And I'm like, I don't see myself stopping. And seeing that sort of improvement in my strength, not necessarily my physique, even though I see it in my physique, it gets me going. And it's like what you said, the motivation once you go, I think it's not so much of a problem. And that's what I used to say before. Like, how would you find motivation? I think I realized is that it's not necessarily always motivation. It's also discipline, you know? Because discipline is what's going to keep you going even after the motivation is gone.
Oh, for sure.
Even after the motivation gone is gone. And top athletes, top, just people everywhere, the people who are the best at what they do, actors, writers, singers, anything. People who are the best at what they do, they have discipline. It's not that they have a motivation. Because if people ran solely off of motivation, I feel like people would get tired. Something would set them back, and they'd be like, "Oh, I don't have the motivation anymore," and be like, "No, I have to keep going. I need to have the discipline to not let this setback stop me. I have to keep going." And I feel like I realize now that it's not so much about a motivation; it's completely about the discipline and having the discipline to keep going.
You
And
know, you joked about it like being a flex that you were like able to bench a certain weight, but I think honestly that's something you should be proud of because you put forward the work towards it. And I mean, you were setting on the grindstone. You were going at it for like days and weeks and months. And that's honestly something you should be proud of because that's a personal achievement. I mean, you worked for it, you set the goals in mind, and you did it, and you were able to accomplish it. And I think that's just honestly, that's just kind of the end result of your journey, your plight, you know. And yeah,
thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. I really do appreciate that. You know what we need to do though? We need to have that sort of motivation and discipline into learning music.
yeah.
Imagine what we could do.
Oh, I don't know.
Maybe not
I
much,
mean,
but
I,
Matt, we could probably write like a song and like actually make music sound cohesively together.
it's funny. And as a side note, I told Kelvin this before, but I took piano lessons for 3 years, and on top of that, I was also learning how to sing and like sort of play the guitar. And that was all in middle school. And then high school came around. I was like, you know what? I'm done with this. I don't want to do this anymore. And lo and behold, my tiny peanut brain forgot everything that I had ever learned, just about.
But funny enough, we decided that we were gonna learn how to read music. We could start with music theory now because he said we talked about like a year from now. What if we like learn music theory and we start making music? We start learning instruments a year from now, and I was like, why don't we start right now? At least just learning how to read music because we don't need expensive equipment, instruments, or anything of the sort to make music or read music. So let's start
Yeah.
reading music now, and then we can like pop something up. You never know. And so Jared was like actually trying to explain the music sheet thing, like notation to me, and it's funny enough. He's like, "Dang, I sort of remember this. I sort of remember this," and he was like, wow, man, you definitely did not take 3 years of piano lessons for nothing.
Yeah, I have a little bit to show for it. Like 2% left.
But did you do you ever see yourself like would you if you went back, right? Knowing what you know now, would you want to continue with the piano lessons?
Oh my word! If I was given the opportunity, right, to just start a little bit over, like maybe take me halfway back. So like I'm 21, almost 22 now. Let's take me back to 10 years old, bro. Going forward, I would do so much all over again, but differently. I think I don't know. Back then, the reason I was taking piano lessons, it wasn't because it was something I wanted to do, right?
Hmm.
I I mean, my parents, I love them to death. But all throughout my childhood, they pushed me to do different things And it partly has to do with their financial situation because my parents met in Pennsylvania and then they came down here and they didn't really have much planned out for like retirement. And ever since they got married, they've been living paycheck to paycheck. And that was long before I had even come into the picture, right? This was before I was even born. And once I was born, my mom quit working to take care of me. And she never really went back to work. I mean, she God bless her soul, man. She volunteers all the time and she is everywhere helping out everybody, but she just doesn't get paid for the work she does. And I mean, that's not something to complain about because she's helping others and she's doing her own thing and she enjoys it. But my dad's the only one with the job and income. So when I was younger, they really pushed me to do things. They pushed me academically. I mean, like if I came home with a B, like they were like, hey, bro, like you got to do better than this, you know? Like maybe chill out on the video games for a week, you know, maybe do your formulas again, do some equations, bro. You got to figure this out because they're like, you got to do good in school so you can go to a good college, you can live off scholarships and do good money. And they were never, I mean, they were strict, but they were never like obnoxious about it, you know, to an extent. And that's why I
Right.
love them so much. But for sure, music was one thing they definitely pushed me to do. And my mom had like an in with a friend from one of the schools that I'd gone to, and she's like, hey, can you like teach my son piano? She's like, actually, yeah, I actually do lessons. And she's like, she offered her something pretty sweet. And I took them for 3 years. And at the end of the third year, I just wasn't feeling it anymore. Not to like kind of like flex or anything, but I guess while doing it, she had other students, right? And we would have these like sonatas every like twice a year, that type thing. And she would just kind of throw together like celebrations, like so the kids could show off what they're learning, you know, just as like a cool thing. And I was more adept than a lot of the other students. Like she was a very beginner teacher for beginner students, but I had picked up things really quickly, and I was doing a little bit better than most of the other students. And she kind of together an award ceremony, and this is kind of what like spiraled it out of control for me because I ended up winning an award and she gave out unique awards to all the students, but my award was like very obvious like what it was for, and it was the most outstanding musician of the group. So she was kind of like, "Oh, this is my best student. I'm so proud of him. Like look what all he's done." And she had me play this really big and difficult song for at the time for me. And when my parents saw that, they're kind of like, okay, our son really has something in him, you know. I mean, I don't know if that's what it was back then. I feel like it was more so that I was able to do more than the other students at the time. And I mean, some of them were younger than me, so it might have been an age thing, to be honest with you. And my parents saw that and they pushed me even further, and that kind of just led me to like fall out of the love for the music. And it wasn't something that I really began to appreciate till much later in life. I think recently when I started college, I started to kind of pick up different instruments around then. I picked up like the harmonica and played it for a bit, the ukulele, the guitar, and we still had the piano I had all my childhood, but it was gone and broken, and some of the keys didn't work anymore. I was like, well, this is too late now because I can't relearn the piano because I don't even have a piano anymore. And that was the upsetting part about it. So definitely for sure, if I could go back in time, that is something I would do over.
So here's my question, right? If say you went back in time, right? You're doing music now. What kind of music do you see yourself doing? What kind of music do you see yourself making?
Like genre wise,
Yeah, genre-wise. Do you see yourself playing the piano for the rest, like, for the rest of your life, or do you see yourself playing other instruments as well, or do you see yourself like actually just making pop music and just stuff like that? What kind of
oh
music would you
my.
make?
I think I would go two different routes. So, I don't want to say recently, but within the last year, I randomly like picked up classical music, just listening to it, right? I found a random Spotify playlist with
Oh,
like a bunch of Beethoven and Bach, and I just fell in love with it. Like, I mean, my favorite is Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata, third movement. Like, that is just, it's just so good. And like every now and then, I'll just right when I'm laying in bed, you know, I'll throw it on Spotify, put my headphones in, and just sit there and lay just listening to it, just taking it all in. And
funny enough, real quick. He's
there
not
you go.
joking because he goes to the gym, right? And he talks about listening to classical music at the gym. He doesn't bring his headphones ever because he's a menace to society. He just doesn't need music to work out.
I don't have
He uses
AirPods. It's not
the,
comfortable. It's not
he
comfortable.
uses the music from the gym, bro. It's just he's
Gym
a
playlists are
menace.
kind of good. I'm not gonna lie.
All right, but fair enough. Continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say make classical music, but I would like cover all of the songs that I like for sure on piano. I mean, we had a talent show in high school, and this is something I daydream about. It's just like maybe if I'd taken piano seriously, I could have played like some Beethoven for the talent show, and like all the girls would like woo and goo and gaw over me, and they'd all fall in love and be, whoa, this guy could play the piano, like stuff like that.
Right.
That's I mean, that kind of feeling. But I think like personally speaking, if I were to make like my own music, like compose and like put the lyrics, I definitely think I would fall into that like R&B genre. Which I mean, it's very generic, but like
I love
if I had to
R&B.
pick an artist, I would say maybe I don't want to say Daniel Caesar because that's so generic and basic, but like not rap, but just something with like a melody that like I mean I'm not really a good singer, so I would have to have something that I could just
Well, pretend
let
you
the
are a fantastic singer.
instrumental. No, no, no,
Pretend
no. If I'm doing this based on
that's
me,
fair. That's fair
I'm gonna
enough.
have I'm gonna have the focus of the song be on the instrumental more so than like my vocals. Like my vocals are just kind of the background. I don't know, like specifically what genre I would do. It's kind of hard to pinpoint because there's so many genres, and then like all the popular genres are so generic.
I think if I made music, I would love my music to sound something sort of similar to what like Kylie Uchis does, bro. Because
Oh
like you
my
said, her
word, yes.
instrumentals are amazing.
Her instrumentals are so good.
Her instrumentals are amazing. Her voice just feeds off of that energy as well. Like when she's hitting this like super high pitches at the end of the songs, and it's
Yes.
just like so angelic and stuff like that. Like one time, bro, one time I was hanging out with this girl, and I was like, "You listen to Kylie Uchis?" She's like, "No, I don't know who that is." And I played her this one song, and she's like, "Bro, this was the best song I've ever heard." I'm like, I know it's good. Trust me, because it's one of those. It was "To Feel Alive" by Kylie Uchis, and it's that song where like the entirety of it, she's just like, it's like sing talking at the same time, but her voice just fits so well, and it's just like at the end where it just
Yeah.
does the high.
That angelic
It's
verse, and she
so
just
good.
gets so high.
And the thing is, she has amazing bars. Like her writing is amazing. I
She's
love it.
lyrically, yes, she's a lyrical genius too.
She is amazing. But Kylie Uchis is somebody I've been listening to a lot recently, and well, I've also been listening to the Donda album. But if I had to make music, I think it'd either be, if I rapped, it'd have to be like Felly. It'd be like Felly, Kylie Uchis, or I don't know who else would be it. Brent Faiyaz. Brent Faiyaz. I mean, like he makes more relaxed kind of R&B music where it's just like, you know, trying to set the mood. It's like what's that song by Drake? Fire and Desire. It's like that kind of songs where it's just really slow, trying to set the mood, or it's just and it's like parts are just completely toxic and it's just like it's really funny, but like I think for me it'd have to be Kylie Uchis, Felly, and Brent Faiyaz. I think those are my three artists I'd love to be that I would say I'm inspired by. I feel like those would be the three that I'd be inspired by.
I mean, and Felly's one of those artists that like he has really good instrumentals too, but along the lines of like strings. Like his focus is strings, specifically like the electric guitar with chords, and it makes sense.
Yep.
You know, it's like borderline rock too, which is weird, but it's good stuff.
Like his song with Heartstrings. It's just I enjoy it a lot because if you guys ever listened to Felly before, he was one of those like it's just a typical rap underground rap artist that just like hard beats, heavy 808s, heavy bass lines, kicks and stuff like that. But he really switched it up. Because I think I remember seeing one of his tweets. Like I used to follow his no, I follow his Twitter. He used to tweet a lot more before. He said making music when you're happy is so much better than making music when you're sad or like when you're in a terrible place. And it's funny because like typically you hear, oh, the best music comes from pain. And he said, I enjoy, and Felly said the complete opposite. He said, I enjoy making music while I'm happy. And you can definitely see that in his current switch of art, like style. Because like you said, he's making more like rock-ish. Some of it was more pop. Some of it is just like, there's some rap in it, but like, it's mostly like what he feels. It's like you said, very heavily influenced by strings. Super heavily
Yeah,
influenced by strings.
I feel like along the lines of his music, I feel like not necessarily something that I would make, but something that I found myself like a genre getting into recently, other than classical music that I hadn't really before, was like Latin music. I think in general, because I remember one day we were coming back, driving from somewhere, and you throw on Kali Uchis, and I was like, I haven't actually listened to her music. You
Mm,
know, I was like, I've
mhm.
listened to her as like features, but I haven't listened to her music. And then I was like, okay, let me go listen to this album. And I listened to, I think it was her Isolation album, and I was like, this is it. You know, like this is good music. And so I think from that point, I went on and listened to like Bad Bunny and like, I mean, your artist Elena, who does some Latin music part time, but also pop music, and just a bunch of like different Latin artists. I was going down the list, and I was like, I really started to enjoy it because I feel like Latin music at its core, its heart, is very focused on the instrumental,
Mhm.
and but also at the same time the lyrics are very meaningful and beautiful, and I just, it all comes together and makes this like just giant ball of good feeling.
I will say this about Latin music. I enjoy listening to Latin music, right? I do. But pop Latin music, at its essential, as its most basic form, some of the beats and slash instrumentals are the same. They go doom 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 doom. You know, it's that sort of beat. In some sort of way, you'll hear it, but that's just pop. That's pop Latin music. Like you said, some artists are completely different. Like Ali Uchis, bro. I haven't heard anything like hers. I mean, obviously she still has some sort of like bass Latin music kind of beat because it's like it's Latin music. It's what makes Latin music Latin. You know, that sort of beat is what makes it Latin. And don't get me wrong, I like it, but hearing it in almost every single song that I hear from like that's popular, it's just like give me something fresh. But at the same time, Guy Liucci's was a fresh, fresh, fresh breath of air, like completely different. And I think it's why I like her so much. Bad Bunny, he opened the way for it. Like he wasn't the first one to do it, but he was the one to do it differently, and he was a fresh breath of air as well. And like I actually, it's funny enough that you mentioned that you listen to Bad Bunny because I actually heard you singing along to Calladita one time, and I was like, okay, Jared, he's got a little bit of spice in him. Okay, I was like, okay, that's interesting. I see you. But yeah,
It's a good song.
it's absolutely fantastic. And again, he was one of the people who did something differently that I've never seen, like I've never heard before. Obviously, there's like old Hispanic Latin music that like Romeo Santos, Aventura, that
Hmm.
I should put you on. That are also like really good, but they're like more bachata, merengue, stuff like that. You know, the different styles of Latin music.
I mean, you mentioned how it can be like repetitive in the sense, and I get why that might be like the case for you, especially if it's something you discovered sooner in life and have been listening to a lot longer. But I think for me, my taste of music for the longest time was centered around that whole like R&B rap, like the music that makes you feel hyper almost ish. Like it's like the up and down. Like you
Right.
you get different emotions in the same song, and I think I was so used to that for a while. Then once I started to get into like classical and even Latin music, it was kind of like refreshing for me. It's a new feel because like I think
Hmm.
both are kind of similar in that they take you. It's almost like the song is an adventure, and while it is sort of up and down, but it's very connected. So it's very gradual in its movement, and it's not all over the place, though it can be, but it's not traditionally. It's very flowing, and I think honestly, I'm gonna make a weird connection here. But I mean, for the while I was still in school and studying, I used to listen to rain sounds, and it's kind of like that. It's very calming, It's very soothing to the soul,
I mean, yeah, I agree with you, and that's the
relaxing
thing.
at its core.
And that's the thing. I didn't get into R&B until very recently in my life. I didn't get into R&B very until very recently in my life. Before I used to listen to pop, some Latin music, and that's pretty much it. Whatever was playing on the radio, whatever my mom would play at home. That was all I listened to. Rap I got into like when I started listening to Chance the Rapper, which is like 2014, 2015. Then I discovered SZA. That's another artist that I feel like is. I mean, I'm pretty sure anybody could agree. Like, she makes good music. But what makes her so good? You know, what makes her like stand out from anybody else? Do you know? Because I don't know. I just know her music is good, but I don't know why. Is it
I
the
mean,
instrumentals as well?
well, sort of. I mean, my identifiers for her are like some songs are very lyrically adept at hitting certain feelings. Like they're not necessarily like very creative. I mean, she does have some creative lyric songs or songs lyrically, but I think it's also like she makes good sounding music too in the sense that it's a simple beat with a certain mixture of like I want to say like the elements are like drums as like you got I don't know. It's just is like simply creative. I don't know how to explain
I
it,
think
but
I think I
she's got the
was
same vibe as like other artists too. Like she's very similar to like sort of the Daniel Caesar music, some of the
yeah.
like she makes. I mean, I was gonna compare it to Ariana Grande, but they're like a little bit similar, but a little bit different. Like it's just it's like pop R&B. Like it's just good because it's everything's different.
I think I think what it is. I think I figured it out for me as at least is that SZA, and this goes for Kali Uchis as well. They're really good at using their voice as an instrument. You know what
That
I'm
too,
saying?
yeah.
They're
I would say for
really.
sure.
It's not one of those people that they use their voice as just like to be able to sing over uh, a song or a track or something like that. They use their voice in many different ways. And you know, somebody else who does this really well is actually Georgia Smith. Georgia Smith is an amazing vocalist, and I wish more people actually listen to her. And the one song that I love by Georgia Smith is "Addicted," and it was funny because I was in the car with with somebody, and she started singing along to "Addicted" by Georgia Smith because that's what I was playing in the car. I was like, "Oh, you listen to this?" She's like, "Yeah, it's Georgia Smith." I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry. It's just because not many of my friends listen to Georgia Smith." And she was like, "Yeah, I didn't expect a guy to listen to Georgia Smith." I was like, "Well, I mean, she's really good." But like I was saying, Georgia Smith, really good vocalist, and hers, I feel like Cez and Caliuchis, they know how to use their voice as instruments, which is something we're gonna have to learn if we want to start singing over our instruments, bro, our
Well,
instrumentals.
I think you made this point one time too. I think like some of the reason I think you can compare like SZA to Georgia Smith. Also, Doja Cat is a good one.
Oh,
They're good at singing, but also they're really good at like dropping bars. You know, like rapping. Like they mix it all together. Like in the same song, you have like some verses that are sung, some verses that are kind of like talked out like rap. You know, and I think when it all meshes together, it makes like a unique taste because it's almost like that whole like when we went to that pop genre from like 2012 to like 2016 where you'd have a pop song and they would sing but then they would have like a feature and the feature would be a rapper and the rapper would come on give a few bars and then go.
yeah.
It's like that but it's done by the same person, which is why it fits so well together because it's like you're using your own voice to like make that type of music. And I think for me back then I hated a lot of those songs because it was like the rappers would have a voice that just didn't match with like the instrumentals or like
Oh,
just the artist's voice. And it was like it was such a good song, and then they would release a song and then they would re-release it with the rap part in it, and then everybody hated that or they just didn't like it as much, you know. And I think like they do it so well because they're doing it by themselves, and that's what makes it really good.
you actually mentioned like Doja Cat. I feel like Doja Cat is one of the most versatile artists out there. Like you'll hear. I don't mean to throw trash on Drake or anything because I listen to Drake and I love Drake. But Drake's songs, man, to me, they start sounding the same after a while. Like he figured out his formula to make him a hit, and he's sticking on to that formula because if he makes hits, he makes money, and what makes money, pays the bills. And so somebody said like Drake as an artist has not grown for the past 3 years, and I have to agree because like I mean, this man is making hits after hits after hits. There's nobody else to compete with him hits wise because he's an artist. He's not a rapper to me. He's an artist, right? He's a top tier artist, and he's figured out the formula in order to make a hit. And you could probably see with this like last album, like his songs, they're they they're based off of similar formulas. They're structured the same. They don't sound the same because they all have different artists featuring and stuff like that. But in point, what I'm trying to say is Doja Cat, when I listen to Doja Cat or when I listen to Cesar Caliucci's, they bring something new song to song, you know? Like Woman just from the Planet Her album. Woman, Get Into It, yeah. Need to Know, I Don't Do Drugs. They all sound differently. You could give me those songs, not know, tell me they're from Doja Cat. I'd be like, who's making these songs? I would not be able to tell. Obviously, I could tell from the voice and like recognition of her voice, but because of the styles of the song, I would not know it's a Doja Cat song. Because that's how different her songs are from each other. And I feel like a lot of people are really focused on just making music that is not necessarily sounds the same, but will get them the same hits or give them hits. Like you saw that happen. Like Jared, this happened with Kyle, Super Duper Kyle.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
He made a hit, right? What was the song? I Spy with Lil Yachty. He made I
Yeah.
Spy with Lil Yachty. What did he try to do next? The next year, he made another song with Lil Yachty, and it was pretty much the same song. It's called Hey Julie. You know, I didn't enjoy that
He
song because it wasn't anything different.
he's definitely one of our like fallen artists. I mean, because we listened to him like in the early like days before I Spy was even a thing, like before he got like uber famous. Like people knew him, but he wasn't anything insane. And I think like I Spy was like his really good like pop off song, and everybody like it really introduced him to the world, I think. But before that, he had his 2013 album, which was what was it, Loser or something, or
20, which one?
the 2013 album was
Beautiful
something
Loser?
Loser, Beautiful Loser, yeah, yeah. And then he had Smile, and those
Yep.
two albums like those were his staples.
Mm.
2013, 2015. Then 2016 rolled around, and then you had like I Spy, and that's kind of when the world got to know him. But then I think we both kind of agree that he started to fall off a little bit, especially with his most recent album. We didn't really like it. But you mentioned like once you said Planet Her, I was thinking like about this. There's been a few albums that have released this year, like a lot of good ones. But I think definitely one that stood out to me most would definitely have to be Planet Her, because aside from that, you've had like what? You've had what was it? You had the Drake album, the Kanye album, you had the Planet Her album. What else has come out this year? There's
I
been
am a
a
huge
decent
fan of the
amount.
Donda album. I will say that. Just because sonically, I enjoy Kanye's music so
I
much.
definitely have to say, but the Planet Her album stuck out to me the most this year. I think it was probably my favorite of the albums to come out so far.
I'm not too sure. I can't think of, in the moment on the spot right now of what other
I was
albums
trying to.
came
I
out.
had some in mind. You had Billie Eilish album.
Yeah, I
You
didn't.
had
I
the
didn't
Olivia
finish that
Rodrigo
album.
album.
You know who makes surprisingly good music? Not surprisingly, but like it's just because from what I saw from his previous album or EP, I didn't think like his newer music would be any good. Is Lil Nas X? Lil Nas
Yeah,
X has surprised me with his music because with this 7 EP, that the one that has Old Town Road and Panini, like, hey Panini, don't you
I
be a
actually
meanie.
re-listened to that recently too, because I was listening to Industry Baby, and I was like, you know what? Let me check out some Lil Nas stuff. And Montero's pretty good. Call Me by Your Name. I think his last two songs have been really good.
They've been great. Industry Baby, I've enjoyed a lot.
Oh, for sure.
I've enjoyed a lot, and I actually listen to that song whenever I try to PR as well, so it's kind of funny. But yeah, like not Khalid. I was reading Khalid. Lil Nas X, his new music has really surprised me because they're hits. They're really hits. I don't know how else to say that. Oh, The Weeknd dropped an album as well. I think. Oh, that was last year. No, I don't know who else. Tyler the Creator. Tyler the Creator does have
Yeah,
some good instrumentals. I will say this. Tyler's monotone, bro. I wish it wasn't like his. I wish he used his voice as an instrument as well, not just something to rap over or just to use to rap over a beat. But that's his style. His style is like deep voice, kind of monotone. He doesn't really use his voice as an instrument, and I get that. But I don't listen to his music that much because of that. I will say that. Yeah, I don't know who else dropped albums recently. Olivia Rodrigo.
we did bang that one out a couple of times.
Good for you,
Olivia
bro.
Rodrigo is an artist that kind of snuck up on me, because I think like the staple song that for her was like what, Driver's License. That was the first one, and
Yeah.
that's kind of what everybody
Or
got
Deja
got
Vu.
got everyone hooked on her. And I'm still not a fan of Driver's License. I mean, I for the longest time I didn't like her as an artist, and then she dropped the Sour album, and gave some time. I was like, okay, finally I caved, and I was like, I'll listen, and I listened, and man, it's good for you. It's just a good song, and I think honestly, as an artist, she has a lot of room to grow, and I think she'll be very big. I mean that's underselling her. Like her Sour album's like everybody loves it, dude.
Here's the thing: she's already huge.
Yeah, she's like huge already.
She
But I think
legit,
like
she legit
going
went.
forward, like I'm
Yeah,
thinking like next album, I think like she's got a lot of talent for sure. And I think she'll kind of follow a similar path maybe to Ariana Grande, honestly, from like that childhood like TV star to like into the music industry. And I think it'll do her very well. I have high hopes for her.
Oh, what do you think about "Leave the Door Open" by Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak?
Oh, dude, Silk Sonic.
Silk
The
Sonic.
weird, can I just say, what a weird, not weird combination. It makes sense,
It
but
makes
just
so
so
much sense.
random. It came out of
Yeah,
nowhere,
yeah.
honestly. I
Here,
mean,
if you,
granted,
mm,
maybe not, because maybe people might have paid more attention to it. Because I used to be in love with Bruno Mars when I was a kid. I loved Grenade. I like the Doo Wops and Hooligans, bro. That album. And when I was your man, bro, I used to love that stuff. But I stopped listening to Bruno Mars, I think, once high school hit, and then he came out with with Anderson .Paak and like Silk Sonic. Like all their songs so far have been so good.
they've been
I loved
amazing.
every single one of them.
And here's the thing: when you listen, because I used to listen to Anderson .Paak without like them being together. Anderson .Paak was one of those. I don't know. He gives me that sort of like old time. It's not old timey music. It's not at all. But it's sort of give me a like retro kind of vibe. And then you
Yes,
get
retro is a good word to
and you
use.
get Bruno Mars, who like is his inspiration is Michael Jackson and Elvis Presley, bro. Like I feel that fits
I
perfectly
don't know what the
with
name of the
Anderson
album
.Paak.
is, but Bruno Mars had an album. I think it was like with Gorilla on it. When I Was Your Man, it was like the album cover was like a cassette tape or something, like or something. That was like his retro album, and I think from that moment forward, like that's what kind of started to define him. And it's honestly, he's had different eras of music, and they've all been so good. I think he's just underrated as an artist. I mean, he's popular, but like he's really good, and vocally speaking, he's really good too.
I will say because we're almost reaching the hour mark. At the end,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think we should wrap this up
At
here.
the end, I will
It's
say
a
this:
good episode for music, definitely.
it was actually really good, and we had music, we had gym, motivation, discipline. We had a little bit of like how I feel about now and how like you feel about differences between how we were in school and now and such like that. I will say this though, as an end for the music, you everybody, if anybody takes anything out of this, and if you guys made it this far, Jared's favorite song is North Face by Odie. Odie. Odie, North Face. It's a really good song. He put me on, and I think you guys should check it out if anybody ever listens to it.
It's honestly the only song I ever put you on. Calvin's notorious for putting people on music, because I mean, everybody's complimented him before, but I'll do it here in front of everybody. Calvin's got an adept taste of music, I have to say.
Thank you, man. I
It's really
appreciate
good.
that.
It's
Oh my.
good.
And here's the thing. He's not like he said, he's not the only one who's told me this. And I really appreciate every time somebody tells me that, even though I've heard it like, not to flex, but slight flex. Even though I've been told so many times I have a great taste in music, hearing it every single time just makes me so happy because it's like I have music that spans a lot of genres. I'll listen to countries maybe barely sometimes. It would be a
See, that's where we
stretch.
differ. I definitely think I listen to a lot more music than you, but you find like the good stuff. Like you find all the hidden gems.
Yeah, because I listen to music. Here's the thing: I find a song, right, or I find an artist I haven't heard. I'm like, let me look into what they have, and I look at their top songs or whatever. Or I look into songs of albums that just came out of theirs. Like Kimbra. Do you know who Kimbra is? No, right?
No,
Exactly. She, not he. She is the lady that made the song with what is his name? Gautier?
again. Oh, you're
Somebody
talking
that I
about
used to
somebody you
know.
used to know.
Somebody
Yeah.
that I used I so what I actually did is like I went to I think his name's Scott Yeah. Goat Yeah. I don't know how to say his name. But I went into like his profile, his Apple Music profile, and I just started listening to his songs. Right? I was like, let me listen to what he has. And then I was like, okay, let me listen to Kimbra, see what she has. And I actually I found a song that I put one of my friends on, and I was like, he's like, yo, this is actually a really good song. And that's how I find my music. In case anybody else wants to know, like, how do you find your good music? I just go off of like artists that I know or I don't know, and I just listen to things randomly, and I just hope. That's what I do. I just hope. I just hope.
I mean, yeah, that'll do her right there.
But overall, we had a pretty good podcast for not having a set topic to talk about. I really wonder what our next podcast is going to
I
be about.
I think we said this last time, and I want to say it again, but I don't want to jinx it because last time we are like, well, I'm really feeling this. We're gonna do this, you know, because we banged out the first two pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But I think we might get back into it again.
Listen, okay, here's the thing. We're definitely going to get into it, but the promises of being weekly episodes, it's not going to, be a
It's gonna be
promise.
tough.
It's going to
It's
be
gonna be
tough
tough.
because we're going to need to figure out what we're going to talk about or see if we want to talk about something
We'll
specific
throw
or
this
anything.
one out there, see what anybody has to say, if anything, and we'll maybe wait a bit, see what you guys think, and if nobody says anything, which could be the case, we'll just run it back with something random until it sticks, you know?
Yeah, we're not gonna be doing. We'll try maybe. Who knows? We like we said before, we were gonna do weekly episodes. Maybe we could do monthly episodes.
Start
That's
out
a
monthly
joke.
and work our way down.
Yeah.
Monthly,
Eventually be
bi-weekly, weekly.
yearly. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Oh no. Anyways, thank you everyone for watching. If you made it this far, we love you. Thank you for any and all support you have, and just clicking on it and like listening to 5 seconds, you've already made my day. So thank
Absolutely.
you. I appreciate you. Come take us out.
So once again, this has been JK Talks. Thank you for listening. And like we said, we appreciate you if you made it this far. And if you didn't and you stopped at the first 10 seconds, we still appreciate you because, it caught your attention and you still clicked on it and we're interested enough to check us out. But regardless, like I said, go listen to North Face by Odie. It's Jared's favorite song. Had to plug it real quick. He loves that song.
Love.
And yeah, thank you.
Bye guys.
Bye.
Thank you.